So guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming here to the Woodland Farms Brewery. Thank you for coming. And I often, whenever I can, I try to go live. If I can get Wi-Fi or if I have a good signal, I try to go live because I think this matters for many reasons. I go live because I want you to realize, anyone watching or anyone here, that I'm not going to say something in front of you and then someplace else say something else in front of somebody else. I'm not going to go, well, because of you, I think this, but because of you, I think something else. But you get the same thing from me all the time. It's always the same stuff. It's what I feel. It's what I believe. Second, you notice I don't use notes, and anyone can come. And to my events, maybe one day I'll be some snobbish guy and I'll charge everybody $10,000 a plate to show up. I can only hope. But until that time, I don't want to do that. What I do is I come to local places, and there's only one fee. Buy something from the local business owner. That's it. That's what I do through all the events I go to. Come to a local place, buy something, have a drink, have a beer, have a meal, whatever, do something. If you do that now, we're supporting local businesses. Why do I focus on that? And why am I so adamant about that? Because you will hear every single time some politician running around a state going, I care about my local small businesses, as they do absolutely nothing to help them. In fact, they actively try to hurt them. I'm not even elected, and I'm still trying to help small businesses. That's the goal. It does matter. Why would I care so much about small businesses? There's many reasons why. Number one, small businesses actually care about their communities. The corporate class doesn't. Not that I'm against big corporate businesses. They should exist also. Everyone has a right to exist in our, economy, and big business should exist also. Absolutely. But you're finding throughout this entire state, the small business owner being starved out, big business coming in, and our franchises taking over everywhere. That's not a healthy environment. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because if you just heard recently, our Empress of New York, Kathy, first of her name, she has decided that she's going to save us all by bringing Micron to New York State. Sounds amazing. We're bringing Micron. Didn't we already have a chip manufacturer here in New York State? Didn't we have one? Yeah, down the road. We did have one. It was, yeah, down the road. And they left. So if we wanted chip manufacturers, why didn't we help the one that was already here versus bribing the one that coming from Idaho? Because that's how New York State does business now. We don't care about small businesses. Instead, we bribe big businesses to come. And for those of you who may not know, you might say, well, Larry, she did a great job bringing Micron here. That's a big business. How did she do it? Well, I will tell you. She bribed them. That simple. She bribed them. Now, one thing Kathy's very good at, and that is grifting money from Uncle Joe in Washington, D.C. She's very good at that, and she did. And now they had the CHIPS Act, and there was $52 billion out of that, and a couple billion she got to go to Micron. And then you, by the way, all of us here in New York State, we will pay Micron $5.5 billion to show up. If you gave me $5.5 billion, I would show up too. That's all I'm saying. That's it. That's what it is. It's another bribe. But here's the funniest part. She said in her speech, the quiet part out loud. Our governor literally said, you're always hearing people say, don't build a business in New York. New York is not friendly to business. Well, we did something about it. No, you didn't. You just bribed people to come. And the fact that you have to give somebody $5 billion to come to our state tells you how broken our state is. Let me say that one more time. Micron is not a proud thing. It should be something we should be proud of. It's something we should be embarrassed about. The fact that we have to give some company $5 billion to come to our state is embarrassing. And where is our embarrassment? There is none. So someone in my social media said, oh, so we're supporting these businesses growing in New York State. So I guess that means Kodak is now all of a sudden opening up new businesses and then hiring a bunch of new people. No, Kodak is not. Kodak's not doing that. We are consistently starving our small business owners out and consistently bribing business to come here. Now, I know what you might say, but Larry, wait a minute. This is a good thing. They're going to give us 50,000 jobs. So they told us. Did you hear that? Oh, you're laughing. Thank you. You already know. Yes. 50,000 jobs, right? Supposedly it's 9,000 from Micron and then there's supporting jobs, which magically equals 50. Just say 100, say 1,000,000. I mean, does it really matter? It's gonna be 17 gazillion jobs because it's all the same math, non-existent. It's just something I made up. And you might say, well, why are you so mad? Is it even 9,000 jobs good? In theory, it's nice, but I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of every time a big business we bribed to come into New York State actually made its numbers. Done. It has never happened one time. Let me say it again. That's not hyperbole. It has never happened one time ever. Every time we do this, it fails. And every time we do this, we go, yay, we're doing so good. But here's the biggest piece that no one's getting. People are fleeing our state. If we were doing so well, people wouldn't be leaving. Now, I'm a business guy. I talk about business all the time. I'm talking about it right now. What any business owner knows is if they're getting more customers, they're probably doing something right. Good general rule. If they're getting less customers, they're probably doing something wrong. That's not a 100% rule, but it's a good general rule. I'm having less customers. I'm doing something wrong. Let me change my business so I can get more customers. I'm either selling the wrong thing in the wrong way to the wrong people. Something's going on. So I need to make things better. New York has been losing customers for 2 decades, and we changed nothing. A stat you may not know, just last month, almost 6,000 New Yorkers changed their license, driver's license, from New York to Florida. That's 200 a day. That's just Florida. That's not Texas, Tennessee, North and South Carolina, Georgia. That's just Florida. Yet we are proud that we're bringing Micron here because that's the answer. There are 3 things we have to worry about when it comes to this state. First is affordability. Second is opportunity. And third is safety. These are 3 things we should be concerned about in this state. I would ask you, what candidate speaks about that? None do. None do. How do I know that? Because when they go around the state, they go from fundraiser to fundraiser to fundraiser. They go from Democratic fundraiser or Republican fundraiser to Democratic fundraiser or Republican fundraiser. I go from small business to vape shop to winery to gun shop. That's what I do. And I meet the actual people who are suffering. And they tell me their stories and I hear them. So I'm talking about what people are actually caring about. You might say, that all sounds good. I like it. I heard this story before. And some of you have. Because I keep saying it. Because I want someone to hear it. So I keep saying it. Yes. That's why this matters. People have asked me more than once, Larry, why don't you quit already? Stop. You can't win. You can't win. Just quit already. Well, they're right. The odds of me winning right now are slim. The Republican Party's thrown me off the ballot. The Democratic Party threw me off the ballot in 2020 with their rules. The Republican Party put the nail in the coffin this year by suing me off the ballot anyway, even though I got past rules. Didn't matter. Yes, thank you for the boo. Yes. So I'm an equal opportunity victim of backstabbing. Whatever, it's fine. But the point being, what can we do now? Why should I keep going? Because if we get 130,000 write-in votes this November 8th, we can still have the only independent party in this state.
Ballot access.
Ballot access. We will be an actual party that we can do. And if you don't have that, literally, you will only have 2 choices throughout this state for the next generation. They won't stop. None. You will have 2 choices only. And in most of your districts that are gerrymandered, you will have no choice. You will have none. I saw that last year and I wanted to fix it. That was my goal. Some of you may see what's happening right now in Utah. Utah is the opposite of New York when it comes to red versus blue. New York is almost 3-to-1 Democrat to Republican. Utah is 4-to-1 Republican and Democrat. So Democrats actually figured out, okay, we can't win. We just can't win in a statewide election. The last time Mike Lee ran, he won by 40 points. 40 points. Democrats are like, okay, we get it. We get it. You don't want a Democrat in a statewide election in Utah. Okay. So they stopped running them. And what did they do instead? They backed an independent. That independent guy named Mike McMullen, some of you may have heard about him. They're talking about him in other places. He might actually beat Senator Lee. That's insane that could actually happen. That's insane. I was thinking of that last year when I was saying Republicans, conservatives, forward party, don't run a candidate, just back me, I'll beat the establishment. And like a silly guy, I thought they cared about actually winning. That was dumb. They don't. They cared about grifting as much money as they could, which they did. Well done for them, but it hurts us. And what does that mean for you? Only two parties in this state. That's it. Well, Larry, there's a conservative party and there's a working families party. That's what I hear. Yeah, but you're already laughing because you know those are parasite parties. They're not really parties. There were only two independent parties in this state. It was the Green Party, the Libertarian Party. Those are the two independent parties. We actually ran our own candidates. We actually tried to make things happen. We tried to push the narrative. That's what we did. Not working right now. 130,000 votes means we'll have an independent party in this state. Why do you individually care about that? Here's the reason. If you have an independent party, locally, you or your friends or your family can run. And why does that matter? Because if you run, you get the message out. Here's what I can tell you for sure. Most of the people who we elect don't care about us. That's true. I've met half of them. They don't care. But what they do care about is their own power. Very much so they care about that. That's why they sue people off the ballot. Democrats sued the Greens off the ballot. Republicans sued me off the ballot. This would be no competition. But if we're still on the ballot, they have to listen to us. That's the most important piece. Do I think that all of a sudden next year there's going to be 51% of New York State libertarians? No. I don't think that at all. I don't believe that at all. Nope. Do I think that we can move to a point where we're a large enough percentage to where they will have to listen to us or we will be the swing vote? Yes. I absolutely believe that's possible. And just for us to be the swing vote will change. We will have better Democrats and better Republicans if we have a strong libertarian presence. Because Democrats are supposed to be about civil liberties. They're not, but they're supposed to be. And if you have a strong libertarian party, some of them will have to be. Or people start voting libertarian and not Democrat, and they'll lose their seats. Well, they don't care about you, they care about their seats. Republicans are supposed to be up the Second Amendment, small business, less taxes. They're not, but they're supposed to be. If there's a strong libertarian party, they will have to be, because we're about that. We care about that. And people start voting for us, or they'll lose their seat. There is value to a strong libertarian party in this state, more than you might imagine. And if you live in a gerrymandered district like I do, I live in New York City. AOC is my congressperson. I accept your condolences. So that's a gerrymandered district. The Democrat wins. That's how it works. In New York City, we are 6-1 Democrat to Republican. 6-1 Democrat to Republican. Democrat wins. If there's no third party, how do we stop the establishment? We don't. Now, even if you're watching this or if you're here and you lean left and you prefer Democrats, no worries, happy, good. But do you want the Democratic Party to have no one to push it? Not even Greens, not Libertarians, no one? That is going to be, it already is, a corrupt party. Not to make Republicans any better, they're not corrupt because they're not in power. If they were in power, they'd be just as corrupt.
They're still corrupt.
Well, they're still corrupt, yes, but they'd be as bad as Democrats are now if they'd be in power, right? One party with no competition is going to be corrupt. That's how it works. It is human nature, right? And if you ask them, they'll go, well, we need to, open this up to competition. The government will tell you that. Let's open this up to competition. What they mean is their own cronies. But they say competition because they know that it works, except in their world. We have to change this. So I'm asking you to do several things. To realize that when I'm talking about change, I'm talking about actual policy changes. Actual changes. My website, LarrySharpe.com, has been a policy library for 5 years. Not one person who's running for office has picked one policy up. Not one. When I was on Joe Rogan in 2018, some of you might have seen that interview. At the end of that interview, Joe Rogan goes, those are great ideas, Larry. You better lock those ideas down. I said, why? He said, people will take them. I said, take them. I don't have to run. I'll go back home to my family and friends, my business. I won't do this. You'll fix my state. Awesome. I don't have to move. Do it, please. Take all of them. Just erase the whole, take it all. No one has. But if we have an independent party next year, people can start taking them and start moving them forward. The policies I talk about, let me give you a couple of them that will be important. Number one, Local small business. Can you imagine a local small business that would agree to sell only within New York State? They'd be immune from all federal regulatory bodies, to include local farmers. Yes, you can clap for that if you want to. Yes. So you wouldn't have to worry about any federal regulatory bodies whatsoever, giving you a chance to do things like farm to table, local community support, things just like that. If you want to sell something online, make that a separate LLC or a separate entity. That one will deal with the interstate stuff. You just sell locally, giving you a chance to grow. Something else. What does the local community also fill with that no one wants to talk about? Our felon population. There is a huge felon population across all of New York State, everywhere. These people can't get jobs. These people struggle. You know who hires them? Small businesses. Big businesses don't. You might go, Larry, do we want to hire felons? Yes, we do desperately. Yes, because if you don't hire that felon's going back into the system, either through committing a crime against one of us, or just because they're going to screw up on their parole or whatever and go back into the system, and now we're paying for them. Yes, I want to hire felons. Of course I do. Some of you may know my own background. My mom was a felon. So I understand that struggle completely. And here's a magic pill you don't know. If a felon is employed for 5 years, the odds of that felon going back to jail are less than someone who's never been arrested. That's the magic pill. Work is the magic pill for felons. So let's help them get work. How to do that? Imagine if you agree to hire a felon. Great. No payroll tax for 2 years. Imagine you agree to hire at least 51% of your employees felons. No payroll, state payroll tax at all. None. You'll say, oh, thank you, yes. Yeah. So now you say to yourself, wait a minute, Larry, they're not paying payroll tax. They're scamming on the tax. They're training my felon population who's not going back into the system. Don't pay your tax. It's fine. It's fine. Don't pay your tax. I'm not concerned. That's a policy no one even talks about. How about that? How about an idea that I will ask the question, we're in a brewery, right? What's the value of a liquor license? Anybody know?
Where's Keith? Leave me alone.
No, what's the value? That's it, yes. Well, in theory, they don't. They don't. People go, Larry, you have to have a liquor license, otherwise people will, I hear it all the time, people will sell to minors. Well, that's still against the law, isn't it? So whether there's a liquor license or not, it's against the law to sell to minors, which I'm okay with, right? We're libertarians. We like people who are consenting adults to do what they feel. 2 key words, consenting and adult, right? Those two, do as you feel. If you are both those, consenting and adult, all good. But if you're a minor, don't sell to a minor. That's still against the law, isn't it? Couldn't you still have people who could check it out or do things? You could still do that. What's the value of a license? There is none. It's a control mechanism. It's a grift at the state. How do we know that? We saw it during COVID. We saw it during the lockdowns. We see it all the time. Do as we say or I will take away your liquor license. Does it have anything to do with liquor? No, but I don't care. I told you to do X. You didn't do X. I'm taking your liquor license away.
Put a sign up that says no guns allowed.
Put a sign up. You don't put a sign up, I will take away your liquor license. I have an idea. Let's make crimes for people who do bad things and are victims. You sell alcohol to a minor, be punished for that. Whatever there's a fine, whatever, I don't have a problem with that. Otherwise, why are we doing this? Why do we require licensing in New York State to braid hair? I'm not joking. Why do we require that? How about instead we have credentialing? What does that mean? Get a credential either from the state or from a private organization, that's an industry organization, that shows you are competent. The world's not going to end. Larry, the world will end. It won't. I'll give you the example. Look at natural food and health food stores. Right? Natural food stores, health food stores. They're all over the country. Most of the stuff in those stores, not FDA approved. None of it's approved. Where are all the deaths from health food stores? Where are the illnesses from natural food stores? None. The FDA has killed and maimed literally millions of Americans with no recourse. Natural food stores have done what? The healthiest people you know shop in these stores. You know it's true. So then how do they not kill people? Because they have third parties that check and test everything. And if you're old enough like me, you remember UL, United Laboratories? Underwriters laboratories used to actually check all of your radios and TVs and toasters, all types of things. And where would everybody die? No. Now they're not doing it and the phones explode. Right? Now they're not doing the phones explode. So all the evidence I'm saying is real. And in the case of the health food store, this is what we're putting in our bodies, in our children's bodies. No deaths. I'm talking about supporting local businesses at every single level. I'll go one step further. You know, New York State's the only state that has an insurance board. The only one. All the rest just use federal guidelines, which means we have to punish you with our insurance. New York's only one, I think, of 7 states that requires you to have 2 types of workers' comp. 2 types, both on the job and off the job. Why do I have to cover you for stuff you do off the job? If you want to jump off a building, go ahead. I'd rather you not. If I order you to jump off a building and you do it in your job, you get hurt. Okay, it makes sense. I got it. I should pay. I ordered you to jump off the building. It makes sense. But if you go, I'm going to jump off a building, why am I paying for that? That's how New York State runs. But I would ask you, what candidate will say what I just said? They won't. They won't. Because they're not actually business friendly, because they don't actually own businesses. They're not business owners. The other night, our governor said, you know, I've been here upstate for the past 20 years and all the suffering we've been through. That's what she said. She's wealthy. So's her husband. She hasn't had a job. She's worked for the government for 20 years.
Oh, but it's hard, Larry.
Yeah, it's hard. How is it hard? She's wealthy, and so they've got richer. They've become more wealthy over the past 20 years. And she sat there and said, I understand upstate New York. You do? Are we all wealthy people working for the government? I don't think that's true. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember that. Am I telling you that I understand every struggle you have? I don't. I'm not. Am I telling you I understand struggle? Yes, I am. I am telling you that. I do. Some of you in my background, I grew up in the South Bronx. My father died when I was 12. My mother was an addict and a convict and a felon. I understand struggle. I understand rebound. I understand second chances very well. Very well. And I'm adopted on top of it, so I don't even know my biological parents. So I understand coming back from toughness. I do. I get it. 100%. And we all deserve a second chance. And I would ask you, what candidate talks about second chances?
Lock them up.
Lock them up. Yes. If you're a Democrat, throw money at the problem. If you're a Republican, put them in jail. Right? Democrats want to pacify our youth. Republicans want to incarcerate our youth. I want to emancipate and empower our youth. That's what I want to do. It is a much better way of making things happen. So why does all of this matter, Larry, if you can't win? I hear this all the time, if you can't win. Here's why it matters. Because I want you and others to be running next year and the year after, and I will support you. Larry, you're just talking trash. I'm not talking trash, because for those of you who were there last time in 2018 when I got ballot access, what happened in 2019?
Everybody wanted your line.
That is correct. And I actually crossed the state again in 2019, walking the walk after talking the talk. And we had 107 victories. There were 107 libertarians elected in 2019. The Democrats said, well, we can't have that. And they totally got rid of our ballot access and crushed us. Then when I said, I'm going to take it back this time, Republicans said, no, you won't. And they crushed me after that. So both parties crushed me. They won't. But if we get 130,000 write-in votes this year, November 8th, we do that, I'm telling you, I will do it again. I will cross the state again, and we will have more victories. More people who start winning locally with good ideas to help local people to fight back against the establishment. We will be able to do so. If we do that well enough, even if you lose, here's the most important piece. You might say, Larry, I can't run, or my friend can't run, my cousin can't run. We won't be able to win. It's okay. You'll be able to tell your story. You'll be able to get out there. People will hear you. And the more people believe that we are a movement, the more powerful we become. How do I know that? All the attacks on libertarians all over the place. Have you seen it? You're not yet. You see it everywhere. Everyone's saying, libertarians are dumb, wasted vote, don't do it, so stupid, oh my God. Split the vote, whatever. Sean Hannity on his show told people to not vote for me. I'm not joking. On Fox News, Sean Hannity told people don't vote for me. I'm winning. I mean, that's a win, right? Oh my God, right? Literally, Prager, did a whole segment on how bad libertarians are. Whole thing on it. I mean, the left does it all day long, right? They're normally libertarians are crazy and dumb, don't do it. But now the Republicans are also all over the place. Ben Shapiro, all bad, terrible. They're all doing it, all bad and evil. We're all terrible. If you don't care about us and we're so unimportant, you don't spend hours of time convincing people to not vote for us. But I'll take a place, if I can quote, I'm going to paraphrase from Prager. He said, we use lots of libertarians in our media. They have great, wonderful ideas, but don't vote for them. That's what he said. They have great, wonderful ideas. Don't vote for them. So 2 questions. 1, if it isn't so wonderful, why not vote for them? Or number 2, why don't you just take our ideas? Someone once said to me, Larry, why don't you just drop out and support the Republican? Run as a Republican, right? Run as a Republican, Larry. If the Republican Party in this state was valuable, would I even have to run? It's useless. I don't mean to be mean. It's useless. Republicans haven't won a statewide election in this state in 20 years. And it was Astorino. Say again? Was Astorino. That's correct. And let me bring up Astorino. People who think, oh, well, you know what? Zeldin might win this time. I hear this every day. If Hochul was afraid of Zeldin, you know who else would have been on the debate stage? Larry Sharpe. That is correct. I would have been. How do I know this? Because thank you, what you said, in 2014, Astorino was the toughest competition Cuomo ever had. And in 2014, I was running, I was supporting our gubernatorial candidate at that point. I was supporting a guy named Michael McDermott. He has since passed away, but he was running for governor in 2014. I was his driver. I was the guy who was his debate prep guy. I was the guy writing checks for him. I was the guy renting a car for him. That was me. I was supporting, right? I don't just do the thing. I spent my time in the trenches too, supporting Gary Johnson and supporting Michael McDermott. And I physically drove him to Buffalo. He lived in Suffolk County. I picked him up in Suffolk County and I drove him all the way to Buffalo. Yep, that's a whole lot of hours. Correct. That's literally the entire state. Of course I did. And he was there because Cuomo asked him to be there. Why would Cuomo ask him to be there? Because he was worried about Astorino. Astorino was a challenge for Cuomo. So there's a precedent. Did Cuomo ask last time for us to be there? No, he didn't show up. And he won by 25 points because he wasn't worried. He knew he didn't need us. If Hochul was afraid, I would have been on the debate stage. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't, and she's not. And if you think, well, no, Larry, the polls are wrong. Okay, ignore all the polls. Ignore them all. I have nothing you can do. Do you know you can bet on elections outside of New York State, outside of America? It's against the law to bet on elections in New York, in United States. Outside, it's not. So go to any, I don't know, online betting and see what the odds are for the victory. You know, the percentage of Hochul's victory has gone down. It has. It was 93%. I'm not joking. Now it's 86%.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, 86%. So it's at what, 4-to-1 odds, whatever the odds are on that. So yeah, you don't need to trust, polls. Trust the bookies. They're making money. They're right. So this thing's not going to happen. He's not going to win. I get it. So now, let me do 2 pieces. He's not going to win, but I'll cover if he does. He's not going to win, so what's our option? Our option is Hochul is going to be the governor again. Thanks to the Republican Party, they decided to throw him off the ballot. It's their fault. Their leadership has decided that Hochul will be the next governor. They've done that. What are you going to do? The choice is, will we have an independent party to fight her, or will we be stuck for the next 4 years, maybe the next generation? I don't want the latter at all. I want some mechanism to be able to fight and to push back. And an independent party is that. That's why I'm asking. Yes. But let's assume that everybody's wrong and somehow, I don't know, Hochul, slaps Obama or something. I don't know, whatever she does. Whatever, she does something like that. That's about the only way she loses, maybe she slapped Obama publicly. So assuming that Hochul goes crazy and slaps Obama, and all of a sudden now no Democrats will vote for her anymore, right? Maybe that happens, I guess. Okay, assuming that happens, and all Democrats, because they still hate Republicans, decide to stay home. And they're not going to vote because I'm not going to vote because she slapped Obama. Okay, that magical thing happens, and Zeldin wins. All right, what's going to happen with Zeldin? Well, what does he say is going to happen? First thing he says is, I'm going to fire Alvin Bragg. Heard that one before? I'm going to fire the Manhattan DA. All right. How many of you live in Manhattan? Yeah, none of you. So how does it affect any of you? It doesn't. And here's the worst part. The people in Manhattan voted for him. So they want him. So he literally will help no one and piss off people in Manhattan. That's his first thing. To be clear, that's him saying, not me. He will help no one and piss off people in Manhattan. That's his number one thing. So he believes virtue signaling is the number one important thing. Not helping or doing anything. Virtue signaling. That's what matters more than anything else. Then he's like, I'm an executive order this and that and this and that. Day one. Oh, I'm a tough guy. Day one, I'm an executive order all these things.
I thought those were bad.
That's what I thought too. But I guess when he does it, it's okay. So we're swapping one tyrant for another. But here's the worst part, what people don't understand. The assembly can countermand executive orders and emergency powers in 30 days. Didn't matter for Hochul or Cuomo because they ran the assembly. He doesn't. They will countermand everything he does within 30 days. He will be a lame duck governor. He knows that. He knows he's not going to win. This is all a grift. Think about something for a second. If for those of you who want to think about this, he was or still is currently a congressman in Long Island, right? Suffolk County. Most people believe, and believe last year and still to this day, the Republicans are probably going to take over the Congress coming up here in November. If you're a sitting congressman in the Republican Party, and your party is about to take over the Congress, you're about to be able to go onto all the committees you want and grift like there is no tomorrow. Why would you leave? Seriously, why would you leave? Why would you leave and run for a governorship at the odds of your victory are slim to none? Why would you do that?
Be a Pied Piper.
I will tell you why you actually do it. Because you were afraid with redistricting that you might have lost your seat. That's why. So you think, wait a minute, I might lose my seat, so let me instead run for this governor thing. I'll have Nick Langworthy, who runs the Republican Party. He'll help me raise $12 million, and I'll buy myself a cool job after this thing's over. And that's what we're going to do. I'll guarantee you within 1 month of the election being over, Lee Zeldin will either be part of a lobby group or he'll be part of a heavy law firm, one or the other. He will have bought himself a job. He'll be great. We will still suffer. Nick Langworthy, who said he's going to help the Republican Party and help everybody, he's going to be a congressman. He saw an opening in Western New York, forgot about us, decided to run for Congress, stabbed Carl Palladino in the back, and now all of a sudden he's going to be a congressman. So he'll have a cool job too. Those two guys will have cool jobs, and we will all suffer. And here's the worst part. Everyone who is a paying taxpayer is literally paying Lee Zeldin to run. Yep. Paying Kathy Hochul to run. If you are a Republican donor, you paid Nick Langworthy to run. That's what you did, whether you like it or not. So they're going to lose. They'll be fine. We suffer. That's what's actually happening. I'm trying to fix that. So if Lee Zeldin magically wins, he'll be a lame duck.
Wasted vote.
Yes, it's a wasted vote. If he loses,
Wasted vote.
Wasted vote, he still becomes great and we still suffer. Either way, we suffer unless we have a way around this, which is 130,000 write-in votes. Yes, that is the answer. So I know that some of the stuff I'm saying is dark, and I apologize. I know some of it is, but I hope I gave you some hope also and gave you some real answers. It's what I always try to do. One thing you'll find is I'm never going to lie to you. It's not what I do. I do everything open just like this. I don't do that. When I believed I could win, I had a plan to win. I told you so, and that's what my plan was. My plan failed. It failed. When I thought I could come in second or third, I told you so and acted accordingly. That's no longer realistic. The reality of it is, what I'm looking for is 130,000 votes so that we can keep fighting. I want to be able to keep fighting in a selfish way. I don't want to have to move. I happen to love New York. I do. And I'm born here. I'm raised here. My friends are here. My family's here. I'm connected to this place. I don't want to move. That's the reality. But the state is so oppressive. You're watching our family and friends leave like there's no tomorrow. If we don't have a change, they're just going to keep leaving. It's just gonna. No one is doing anything to fix that. I would ask you, what is the solution or the plan for people to not leave for the Democrats? Anybody know?
I do.
Tell me.
Forced vaccination on our children.
Forced vaccination. Yes, exactly. Make everyone's life harder. Correct. Yeah. But the problem with that plan, as I'll say it's a plan, is that it actually makes more people leave in droves. So it doesn't actually do what it's, I guess, supposed to do. Yes, Democratic plan is punishment. The beatings will continue until morale improves. That is literally their plan. What is Republicans' plan?
Cops.
Cops. Just hire more cops. That's it. We'll just hire more cops, I guess. There is no plan. And the reason why they don't have any plans is they're not going to win. And they know that. They might go, Larry, of course, you're lying. Of course they might win. No, I'll give you this answer. Consider this. For the past 20 years, Democrats have run this state. If they were going to fix it, they would have fixed it. Right? If they were going to fix it, it'd be fixed. Right? Literally, Kathy Hochul said in her last speech, she said, people always tell me, you know, New York State's not friendly for business. Why would you build a business here? Yeah. Maybe you should listen to people always saying that. Yeah. And change things. Yes. But then she laughed. Thank you for coming, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So yes. So she has no plan to fix it, right? Of course not. Now, Republicans have been watching this for 20 years. Watching it for 20 years. If they were going to have a plan, wouldn't they have one? What I said in 2018 when I ran, I said, Republicans have been watching the state be destroyed for 15 years. If they would have had a plan, they would ever have one already. I was running for a year. I already had a plan. I had a plan in a year. They haven't had one in 20. My plan's been open for anyone to look at on my website for 5 years. I have a plan to fix things. That's what I do. For those who don't know, I spent 8 hours, I'm not joking, 8 hours online, live, straight, without a break, talking about New York State policy. If you want to see it, it's on my YouTube page, Larry Sharpe. 8 hours. Literally, I sat in front of my mic and my camera and talked about policy on how to fix New York for 8 hours straight. There is not one candidate in this state who could do that. Not one. Not one. I did it with just no notes, just talking. And I ran out of time. I stopped at 8 hours. There was more I could say. There was more I could say. This is what I care about, is what matters. If we keep going, we'll start moving this forward. And here's, I guess, a more dire piece. There are many people, some of you might have seen an interview I did with a guy named Brock Pierce, who is a multimillionaire Bitcoin guy, lives actually in Puerto Rico right now, was running in Vermont. He said, Larry, I pay attention to New York, even though I don't live in New York. And I said, really, why? He said, the same thing I always say. He said, because what happens in New York goes across the entire country. You've heard me say that if you've been paying attention to me. I say it all the time. Larry, why do you spend so much time fighting in New York? Because if we stop them in New York, we stop them everywhere. That's how it works. We are the actual battleground state. It's New York. If we stop them here, we stop them everywhere. And even he said it. I didn't prompt him. He said it himself because he knows it. And he writes checks to both sides. So I know he does that. So he knows, right? All the rich guys do that, right? They write checks to all the sides. So yes. So this is important. What we're doing here really does matter. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So I am happy to take any questions or comments that you guys might have. Go ahead, please.
Since I just voted.
Oh, yes.
Something on the ballot. I voted in Madison County, and our state Senate districts changed. I used to have, as an incumbent, the Democratic State Senator Rachel May, and I just discovered that I had a chance to vote for a different incumbent.
Okay.
Nothing here.
Oh, there we go.
Joe Grifo, who's a Republican. Guess who the Democrat on the ballot was?
Who?
There is none.
Wow. No Democrat. Yes.
Unopposed.
There we go.
If we had ballot access, 30 or 40 signatures would have been enough to get a libertarian.
Look at that. This is a great point you bring up, and it's something that others are doing around the country. They're running against unopposed people because there are so many gerrymandered districts that go, why bother putting somebody up? We're not even going to bother putting somebody up. And you know who'd be running against them? Libertarians. And to my point, in many cases, libertarians would be losing still. That's true. They would still lose.
But there's still a choice.
There's still a choice, but more importantly, they're pushing that person towards liberty. Right now, that Republican, in this case Republican, that happens Democrats too, and I'm going to beat up just Republicans, that Republican has no reason to care about what you think. None whatsoever. There are no repercussions for that person to do whatever they want, to be as corrupt or to grift or do whatever they want, doesn't matter. But one libertarian running saying, wait a minute, why are you doing this? You can have a better Republican just because of the libertarians running. I agree completely.
And almost everybody in this room is going to have that as their only choice for state senator.
There we go. Look at that. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a perfect example. Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, please.
You mentioned 130,000 write-in votes.
Yep.
Is that about right to be 2%?
Yes, it's a great question. How the law actually is written is it's 130,000 votes or 2%, whichever is greater. So the odds are there'll be about 6 million people voting. With 6 million people voting, that's 120,000. So 130 is going to be more than that. We'll need that. If 7 million people vote, I will need 140,000, right? So it's 2% or 130, whichever is higher. My assumption is no more than 6.5 million people will vote, in which case 130,000 will be enough. If more than that, we will require more of them. So yes, you are correct. So we'll need at least that. And to be forward, here's how it will actually work. The first thing that will happen is they will have to look and see what is the gap of write-ins. So let's say, for example, it's, Hochul gets 55% and Zeldin gets, I don't know, 42%. I'm making that up, right? There's 3% left over write-ins. They will count the write-ins. But what if it isn't? What she gets 55, she gets 55 and he gets 44. It's only 1% left. They won't bother counting the write-ins. We won't even know how many I got. So they'll only count the write-ins if it's more than 2%. If it's more than 2%, then they'll count the write-ins. If I get 130,000 or more, or 2%, then the Republicans will sue me. That's what will happen. And they will go, no, this is wrong, or that's bad, or this L is really a W, or whatever. They'll do whatever they can. They will go out of their way. That means, yeah, that's not Larry Sharpe. That's Wary Sharpe, his twin brother, who's also running for governor or whatever. They'll do that. Now, the advantage that we have is the law does say that the intent of the voter is important. That the law does say that. The question is, will the judges agree? Will they? No, they haven't been on our side ever. We'll hope that we can fight them and actually make it happen. That's the goal. But then there will be a lawsuit after that. The Republicans will not want me to be on the ballot. Because if I'm on the ballot and they think that there's any chance of us actually making any impact, they're in trouble. Republicans have to actually be Republicans, and they don't want to do that. That really cramps. Look, if you get to be a Republican, how much can you grift, right? It really limits your grifting time, and they're not going to be happy about that at all. They'll have to actually be Republicans, so they're going to probably fight me. But here's the second piece you might not know. As of November 9th, New York State is taking all of your taxpayer money and will be setting aside $100 million every year to pay for elections. Yes, matching funds, 6-to-1 or 8-to-1. They'll be using your dollars to do so. Now, here's the problem, which you may not know. It will only go to the actual parties, which means Republicans and Democrats. They will be getting money. What you also may not know is there are actually more independent or non-assigned voters than there are Republicans in this state. That's correct. That's how few Republicans there are. There's more people who are not affiliated than are Republicans in this state. So if you're non-affiliated, your taxpayer dollars are going to be spent for Republicans and Democrats. That is forced speech. That's what it is. It's forced speech. And our judges said, totally fine. That is how embarrassing New York State judges are. They went totally fine. All good. No worries whatsoever to that. That's why they don't want us on the ballot. Because if we're on the ballot, now we get that money. They go, Larry, you're a libertarian. You want to take state money? Every single dollar. Every single dollar. They have been stealing from us for generations. I will take every single dollar. Make some libertarians unhappy. I don't care. Every dollar. Every one. 100%. And we can take those dollars and run ads that will actually push our issues that we don't get to do. What most people don't understand is one of the reasons why they don't cover us is because we don't run ads. I'm not joking. Coverage in the media is pay to play. That's how it works. They told us that literally. So why aren't you covering me? Well, you don't buy ads. Well, yeah, you don't buy ads. Buy ads will cover you. Now, this actually happened. We had a candidate who ran in 2019, ran for office, who raised about $11,000 for the candidate, And we went to one of the stations. I don't want to throw my name in the bus, but they went to the station and said, here, we're going to buy an ad plan. They went, great. Literally after signing the check, he went, let me introduce you to our political correspondent. It was literally pay to play, not kind of. It was, thank you for the check. Here's our reporter. That is how it worked. Literal pay to play. So if we get that money and start using ads, they will have to cover us. Does that make sense? That's why I care so much. It's pay to play. So now they'll cover us. We can now use the infrastructure against them. And maybe you're a single issue a candidate. You're running for county legislature, or you're running for your city council or mayor. You don't think you'll win. You're fighting against that one Republican who you know is going to win, that one Democrat you know is going to win. So what? What if you have one issue that you really care about? Maybe it's mandates. Maybe it's unfunded mandates to the county. Maybe it's school choice. Whatever is it that maybe it's the Second Amendment. It's whatever you think is important. You can now take that money and run ads on that thing, and let people see you and push that issue. And what that happens, you know what happens now? That Republican or that Democrat has to talk about your issues, because it'll pop up in the debates, it'll pop up when they're interviewed, it'll pop up when they're walking around the house. It will pop up. They'll have to do it. This is the influence we can have. I know it's not me winning on next Tuesday. I know it isn't. I wish it was that. I wish it was. More than you guys know, I wish it was that. But it's not. What can we do? We can move forward this way. It's slower. It's more localized, but it will still work. I don't want to give up on New York. I just don't. I don't. So that was very long-winded, my friend. I apologize. I tend to go long sometimes, but did I answer your question at least? Awesome. By the way, how do you do it? If you look at the actual ballot, the first column is the one that says governor and lieutenant governor. From that first column on the left, go all the way down where it says write-in, and write in Larry Sharpe. That's it. Larry should have write in all your other line. You may if you want to. I don't mind if you want to write in Andrew Hollister, if you want to write in Will Smith, please do. Will Schmidt. Sorry, Will Smith. That was a Freudian slip. Anyway, Will Smith's pretty cool. He's kind of cool like Will Smith. Anyway, the point is, you want to write into him? Absolutely. Write in whoever you want to write in. It's all good. The state only cares about governor. It's not that I'm some guy who cares and it's all about me. That's not. The state only cares about governor. We only get ballot access if the governor line breaks 130. That's all the state cares about. If you want to support the candidates, please do so. That's great. I hope you do. I'm just being forward. The state only cares about me. That's all it cares about. I didn't make the law. In fact, I tried to fight the law more than once. I lost, including state and federal, 9 times. I dropped tens of thousands of dollars this year and last year trying to end that law, and I failed. So now it's all about me. That seems weird, I guess, right? But that's true. That's how the law works. That's what it is. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions or comments? Guys, thanks so much for coming. I'm here for selfies. Thanks.